Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing, man? Antonelli here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing? Man, Antonelli here. So today we're answering your questions, and today's question is, how much do opposing players talk to each other during the game? So we're going to get in depth on this. I made a video a couple of years ago about first baseman talking to the base runner. And it was a pretty popular video, and a lot of people keep asking me about other positions. And so what I want to do today is basically start from right when the game starts and go all the way through the game, go position by position, and then look at what happens after the game as well. So it starts usually in pregame stretch. Now a typical game starts at 7 o'clock. At around 6:40-ish, both teams are going to come out of the clubhouse and they're going to go get stretched again. They're going to play a little bit of catch, and then they're going to do the national anthem and play the game. Well, during that stretch, what usually happens, not usually, what always happens, is that players are going to, one team's going to be on one foul line and the other team's going to be on the other foul line. They're going to be in the outfield. That's where stretching is done. And most players will jog towards the middle of the field, right? So they'll jog out, they'll jog back, they'll do some like side shuffles and karaoke and all that stuff. Well, as both teams are kind of jogging out, right? As players from both sides are jogging out, they come really close together in that middle of the field, right around the center field area. And almost always, every game, I'm not saying every player does it, but lots of players are going to go out there, they're going to jog out, do high knees, do something. Another player is going to be coming, and you're at least going to say, hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Good luck today, something like that. But a lot of times what happens is you know some guys on the other team really well, and so you just happen to time up your little, jog out there with the other guy, and then you're going to go out there and usually going to do a high five, a hug, all this stuff. Say hello. Even if you've talked to the guy before the game, even if you saw him the night before, it's just kind of part of the baseball stretch that you say hello again, give the guy a hug, something like that, okay? So that's where it kind of begins. Now, I do remember while I was playing, there were certain years where they tried to kind of put a stop to this a little bit. So managers at the beginning of the year would say, hey guys, this year the league really doesn't want us fraternizing with the other team. During your stretch, try to stay away from giving the guy a hug and a handshake and your special high five move, right? Just let's get stretched and throw. Doesn't look good for the fans. They see Red Sox and Yankees who, in their mind, Red Sox fans hate the Yankees players, hate the Yankee fans, and then all of a sudden they see a Red Sox player and a Yankees player running out to center field, hugging and sharing stories and laughing, and the fans are like, aren't they supposed to be trying to kill each other? So I have seen that and heard it from managers, but I've never seen it actually change anything. I've never seen players tone down that pregame, that stretch time, saying hello to their friends and their buddies, at least while I was playing. And, I've been to games and you still see it today. So I don't think anything's really changed in that regard. Okay, so now the game starts. So as a hitter, you walk up to the plate. Your first time to the plate, at least I did it every time, and I'd say most players will do it. You walk up to the plate and you will say hello to the umpire and to the catcher. You'll see some guys kind of tap the catcher on the shin guards and just at least say hello. And during my career, I did it every time my first at bat. That's it. My second time, third time, I'm not going to go say hello again. But the first at bat of the game, I say hello. Usually the catcher will always respond. I've talked about this in the video. I think there was only one time in my career where I went up in the major leagues. I went up and said hello. It was Chris Iannetta catching. I don't know Chris Iannetta at all, but I do know that I said hello to him and he didn't say anything back. He just stared straight ahead and made me feel like an idiot. But other than that, everybody said hello. And there was actually one catcher, I can't remember who it was, but I remember after that incident when Chris Iannetta, I was like, okay, the next time I went up, we're playing a team at home at Petco, the next series. And I remember walking up there and being like, now I'm a little bit afraid. Do I not say hello? Does this not happen in the major league? Should I not say hello to the catcher? So I didn't say anything. And I remember the catcher telling me basically like, hey buddy, it's okay. You can say hello to me. Don't be scared. Like, how you doing? And so Chris Iannetta just messed me all up by not saying hello and then messing me up the next series by the catcher thinking I was a weird guy, not saying hello to him. So that usually is what happens. Now, During the at-bat, the catcher typically isn't going to talk to you. There are some chatty catchers. It doesn't happen a lot, but I hate chatty catchers. Like, I'm trying to concentrate and the catcher is like trying to have a conversation with you. That for me is like a no-no, and I try not to respond at all because I'm trying to concentrate. And then sometimes you'll have the catcher and the umpire having a conversation while you're focusing on hitting, and that's another thing that kind of drove me nuts. So I try to limit my talking to the catcher as much as possible. I don't want to talk. It's hard enough for me to hit in silence. I can't hit and talk at the same time. Okay, so now hopefully you get a hit and get to first base. When you get to first basemen are the chattiest of all the position players, in my opinion. Right? It's kind of boring. They just stand over there and hold the runner on the bag, and a lot of runners get the first during the game, and so you're used to just talking a lot, right? Like I never played against Sean Casey. They call him Mayor. Seems like, he talked to everybody at first base, and so first basemen in general are pretty chatty, and you can have a pretty good conversation with them because, you take your lead. A lot of times you're just taking your lead and you're sliding back to the bag every now and then, and it's just easy base running at first. Now, if you're a base stealer, you got to zone in a little bit more, but even as a base runner, it's not that hard. Like, it's almost, you play baseball enough, it's just programmed in your mind. You watch the pitcher, and it's like second nature. They lift their left foot up and you're stealing, boom, you're off. Like, they pick their right heel up, they're picking off. And it's just, you've done it so many times, you almost can talk and base run at the same time from first base. It's like talking and chewing bubble gum at the same time. It's not that difficult. But first basemen love to chat. Now, when you move to the middle infield, middle infielders don't chat as much. At second base, I would say when you're taking your lead, the shortstop is usually like right behind you typically. He's either holding you on or he's close enough to be able to put a pickoff on. And so a lot of times he'll come behind you sometimes and you can have a conversation with him while you're taking your lead. And that is not uncommon for that to happen. Now, a move that I don't like, I don't appreciate this move, is some middle infielders will talk to you, right? And they'll be talking, kind of lulling you to sleep, and then boom, they throw a pickoff on. If they pick you up, that's messed up in my opinion. So if you want to talk to me, fine, but you better not try to pick me off. If you're going to try to pick me off, then you better be quiet, let me concentrate. All right, but I can't remember getting picked off at second base as a professional. Really, I don't remember getting picked off at first base, except for my last year playing, I got picked off. I don't know why. We'll go back to first base real quick because I got to tell this story. Tony Cingrani, I think was his name. He was pitching for the Reds and had a great pickoff move. Maybe the first baseman was bothering me. Maybe that's why I got picked off. But I barely was playing. I got into the game finally, and I got to first base. And Tony Cingrani comes set, and our first base coach says to me, he goes, "Hey, this guy's got a balk move. He's got a great move. Make sure he goes home. Can't get picked." I say, "Yes, coach." He lifts his leg. I think it's a balk. Does a little balk move. I shuffle. He picks me off. Boom, out. I think that might have been the last time I ever ran the bases as a professional because I was released a few days later. I'm going to blame it on the first baseman for talking to me while it happened. That's just a quick example of typically a first base, second base, you're not going to get picked off a whole lot. I did once. Now let's go to third base real quick. So third baseman, again, not super talkative. They're usually playing off the bag, right? So they're not going to be, you don't hold a runner on at third base. In Little League, some guys do. Don't do that if you're a Little League player. Or if you play baseball in general, never hold the runner on at third. He can't steal home. People are going to say, yes, he can. Well, you still don't hold him on, okay? It's the pitcher's job that when you come set, just look at the guy and make sure he's not halfway down the line, okay? We don't hold the runner on at third. Because of that, you don't normally talk to the third baseman very much. You might say hello, but that's really about it. It's not going to be a huge conversation like you'll have with the first baseman. Now, when the game ends, there's another opportunity to usually hang out with the other team and talk to them. And so usually after games, players are going to go out and grab a bite to eat, maybe go to a bar, maybe go to a club, depending on where you are. Now, I'm not a night person, I'm more of a morning person, so I'm not someone that went out all the time, but I went out a couple of times. And usually what happens is the other team is going to, especially if they're younger players, are going to say, oh, where do people go after the games? Where does the team usually hang out? And so there's usually a few spots where players will go. And so a lot of times you'll be out someplace and you will run into the other team wherever you are. And so you begin talking to them, you begin developing friendships there as well. And obviously, if you know players on the other team and you're a player that likes to go out, you're going to tell those guys, hey, I'm going out here. Why don't you meet up? And that's how you end up meeting a lot of players in the league, because maybe you end up being out with one of those guys. They bring their friends from the other team over, and now you meet them. And so that's how really friendships start to develop at the professional level. Now let's wrap it up with this. Overall, most players I feel like are pretty friendly and a lot of times friends with the other team's players. Now this wasn't so much, it feels like back in the day. I'm sure it was, but maybe they were able to separate game time and post and pre-game time. But back in the day, right, they used to try to kill each other, it looked like. Not so much anymore. And some of that might have to do with, you know, a lot of times now players in the offseason will work out with each other. So there's different facilities in Florida and you know, the warm states, Florida and Texas and Arizona and California, where a lot of players will go to during the offseason and work out. And so you might be a Red Sox player, a Yankees player, an Orioles player, a Padres player, whatever, and you might work out with those players. You develop friendships. In the Dominican, a lot of players will go down and work out in the Dominican. A lot of Dominican players will work out together during the offseason in the wintertime. There's also winter leagues where players end up being friends, right? So whether it's, you know, Venezuelan league, Mexican league, wherever, there's tons of different leagues. You might meet players there. And so players get to know each other because not only are you playing in season with them, you might be training off season, you might be playing winter ball together. There's a bunch of opportunities to meet other players, and you're going to talk to them during the game, okay? So that's kind of how it works position by position. Hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what happens during the game, pre-game, during game, post-game. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section below. That's all we have. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. We'll talk to you later. If you've enjoyed this video and want to learn more about building the elite swing, check out our new course. We have over 2 hours of content, almost 30 hitting drills. We break down the exact mechanics that you're going to want to implement into your swing. I've put the link in the description if you want to go check it out.